Hmm? Ah!
Now, look here. I respect what you folks in the media do. And my door is always going to be open. All right? You can ask me anything. No topic will be into touch.
All right, one final question.
How about the fella right there in second row there? Yeah. I like your glasses.
Oh, thank you. Trent Krim, The Independent. I just want to make sure I have this right. You're an American who's never set foot in England, whose athletic success has only come at the amateur level, a second-tier one at that, and has now been charged with the leadership of a Premier League football club despite clearly possessing very little knowledge of the game.
You got a question in there, Trent?
Yeah. Is this a fucking joke?
Welcome to another episode and a new chapter of the Revisited podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Kristin.
God, just the happiness in our voices as we're starting this is great.
Oh, and this is this is the Revisited podcast. I forgot, it's me. I'm so excited that I don't care. This is the Revisited podcast for Ted Lasso, Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot. What a great episode title, right? Let's.
Yeah.
I feel like we should dig into the episode title and what it really means first. You know, pilot. No,
I don't think there's any deeper meaning.
Of course there isn't. Of course there isn't.
This
I'm
is
being
not
hilarious.
lost.
Being hilarious.
This is not lost. So again, a new chapter of Revisited. We are incredibly excited to dive into this series. It was bittersweet wrapping up Lost because we spent so much time with that show, and that is a show you and I know I can speak for you, we both absolutely love.
I'm currently rewatching it again right now
with your children.
Yeah, who are obsessed.
Ted Lasso, however, I will say, as much as I love Lost, I'm excited for this because Ted Lasso is a show I fucking adore. This show very quickly became one of my favorite shows of all time.
I agree. There's something about this show. I mean, even watching the pilot where everything is so different from when you get, to the end of the show. But it's so well done, the first episode. And in my opinion, they stay very true to their characters from the get-go. These are fully fleshed out characters, I think. This is a fully fleshed out story, which we realized later that they had a story to tell, and they told it. Despite all of the success of Ted Lasso, they had no idea that Jason Sudeikis has said, I had no idea that this was going to explode in the way that it did. Mm-hmm. And they could have had more seasons, but they wanted to tell the story that they set out to tell. And I think that the integrity of that alone just proves how wonderful this story is, because they didn't deter away from their original story model. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And Dave and I like to joke around a lot that it is the most vulgar, wholesome show you'll ever see.
It really is. And I even have that in my notes too, in that even watching this first episode again, rewatching this pilot. And let me say too, it is going to be very difficult to not want to just keep watching.
Oh, I almost did it
every week. Today. I almost did too. Like I almost was like, let me watch the second episode.
And started the countdown for the next episode. I'm like, I could do this. I could do this right now.
Well, we could do it as soon as we're done recording this. We could jump into the second episode because then we're technically already into research for the next episode. But yeah, like even rewatching this pilot, like the language that is in this show is they do not hold back at all. This is a show that is incredibly wholesome. does deal with some very difficult life topics throughout. Anxiety in particular, which is something that I know I myself, you, and a number of
Both
other
of
people,
us, yeah.
It really hits hard with that too, which is one of the reasons why I think I love this show as much as I do. But you're right. As much as wholesome as this show is, and as great as these characters are, this is not a show for kids because purely of the language and some of the topics, some of the content.
Right. Absolutely.
So
absolutely. But it's almost there for a whole family audience, but they do take that extra step in every single show. And one of the first scenes that you really see that this show is not going to be a family show is when Rebecca is firing George.
Yes.
And it's like one of my favorite lines that she does. And she says, "Oh, there's that other one, Liam and Noel, although perhaps not an Oasis."
And I love
right there.
I know we're already getting into like topics too. Wait, I'll save it because we're going to get into it.
Right. But the first show, I mean, for me, I always have a rule with any new show is I always give it 3 episodes.
Me
right?
too. Same
because
rule.
The pilot is never good. And I actually developed that rule with Walking Dead because it's not until the 3rd episode of the first season of Walking Dead that I felt that connected to the story. And so, but for this show, from the first episode, I was in 100% in.
We'll talk about it as we do the breakdown, but there's one particular line. You and I talked about it before we started recording. There's one particular line that the moment I heard it, I was like, I'm in. Like, I am in on this show. And it's in the first 10 minutes of the pilot.
Such a good show. Yeah.
And I'm with you. I have that rule for 3. I give any show 3 episodes. Every once in a while, I may break it and give a couple more. But I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, ordinarily, they're going to try and give you a really strong pilot to kind of lure you in. The second episode is going to drop off because it's not going to be as good as the pilot. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't start coming back up by the 3rd episode, I'm just going to drop it.
Got other stuff to watch. Yeah.
And 90% of the time, that rule usually works because it's usually shows that end up getting canceled or only go for 2 seasons. The only time I ever made the exception, and I really regret it now too, is American Horror Story. I watched the entire first season of that show and hoping it was going to get better, and it never did. And I apologize to anybody listening who enjoys that show. I was like, I'm not watching the 2nd season because I hated the first season. And then I found out that it was same cast, totally new story. And it was all taking place in an asylum. And I was like, oh, that's got potential. I will give it another shot. And then within the first 10 minutes of the pilot of the premiere of the 2nd season, they talk about alien abductions. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm out. And I have never gone back to that show. Never.
I was the same way. The only time I broke my rule was with The Office. It took me seasons to start liking that show. Seasons.
That first season
is awful.
Is harsh.
I can't.
There's a couple moments in that first season that are good, but Michael is deplorable.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, that's a show I struggle with on why it's so popular. And I just want to apologize to anybody listening right now. I have a cold and I just felt my voice leave for a split second. So I apologize in advance for this, but let's get back to Ted Lasso. So we do have first of all, we want to welcome all of the new listeners. We know that Ted Lasso is a completely different show than Lost. So I'm sure that we have new listeners that are really excited that we're covering a show that is also, it just ended so recently. It ended really well. And everybody's excited to rewatch it again, which I think is great.
I want to tell you just what gets me excited about new listeners, because I share that, welcome any new listeners that are coming in. We do feedback, like we take audience and listener feedback and we read it or play it at the end of the show. If you're just new to this podcast and you're just coming in, we have more feedback for this pilot episode of Ted Lasso than we have ever had for any episode of our Lost coverage. Any episode. Yeah. And that includes the pilot and finale of Lost. We have more feedback for this episode of Ted Lasso than we have ever had. And that warms my heart. It really does.
I think that Ted Lasso, and I'm so glad that you say that, because something that I did want to approach about Ted Lasso, I think Ted Lasso came out, first of all, it came out in 2020, and it came out during a time where, as far as America goes, oh man, what a rough year. It was a rough year worldwide, but America had its own set of problems at the same time during the pandemic. We had it was just such a tumultuous, angry, negative time for us. And Ted Lasso came in like this beautiful breath of fresh air. And it was this like 30 minutes of self-care that I feel we all got every week. And that, I think that the perfect timing of that show is kind of like when Animal Crossing came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, everybody needed Animal Crossing in that moment. Everybody needed Ted Lasso in that moment. We needed to feel like everything was going to be okay. And to me, from the very first episode, from this episode, you get that feeling that everything's going to be okay. There's a lot of problems that crack through. Like, that Rebecca is reeling from her recent divorce, and Ted is estranged from his wife, that we learn at the end of the episode. And Nate is used to not even being called by his name. And and Jamie's a mess, and Roy is an asshole. And I mean, there's just these cracks that you see in the surface of the first pilot episode, but there's that unifying message of everything is going to be okay, because even through all of that, Ted Lasso still remains positive. He still remains himself. And you can tell that that's going to be like that gold inlay of all of the cracks that are in this episode, and you're headed towards something beautiful.
I'm glad you brought this up, because before we start into this, I do know there are a bunch of people who are listening who have never seen the show before. This is their first go through with the show. Many people, this is their second, third, or even fourth go of the show. And trust me, I get it, because I've watched the show twice through already.
It's so easy to watch.
It's incredibly easy to watch. And they start off, you're right, half hours. And then as we progress, there are longer episodes. But I don't think they ever break like an hour. I think maybe there's a couple episodes here and there that are maybe up to like 50 minutes to an hour. But for the most part, they stay between that half hour to 45 minute long range. Half hour, 30, 40 minute long range. But I did want to give a brief history of the show and how the show came to be, because there is a quote from Jason Sudeikis that really does ring out everything that you talked about how we needed something better at the time. So for those of you that don't know, the character of Ted Lasso was actually created by Jason Sudeikis. He originally portrayed the character as part of TV commercials for NBC Sports promoting their coverage of the Premier League.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they're all on YouTube as well.
I'm making a note right now.
Yeah, it's amazing that this show came from a character for TV commercials.
I'm so excited now.
Jason Sudeikis, he created the character, and it was just that. It was Ted Lasso is this head coach that is brought in to be the new head coach of the Tottenham Hotspurs FC. So it wasn't AFC Richmond. AFC Richmond is a team created for the series. So in about 2015, Sudeikis' then girlfriend, Olivia Wilde, suggested that he revisit the character, perhaps in a story in which Lasso found his career direction change. Whereas the original Lasso was more broadly comic, and as Sudeikis described him as belligerent, which it is a different character in the commercials than it is in the series. He decided to make Lasso more sympathetic for the television series, explaining his reason for doing so in an interview with The Guardian. He's quoted as saying, "It was the culture we were living in. I'm not terribly active online, and it even affected me. Then you have Donald Trump coming down the escalator. I was like, okay, this is silly. And then what he unlocked in people. I hated how people were listening to one another. I'm sorry. I hated how people weren't listening to one another. Things became very binary, and I don't think that's the way the world works. And as a new parent, we had our son Otis in 2014. I was like, boy, I don't want to add to this. Yeah, I just don't want to portray it." meaning the way the character was in the commercials.
Mhm.
Because Ted Lasso in the commercials does seem very ignorant to the rules and everything. Whereas what we get from Ted, he's willing to learn about everything.
Right.
So I do invite people, if you've never seen them before, go on YouTube and just Google Ted Lasso NBC Sports, and you'll find.
I'm definitely going to do that.
You will find a bunch of those shorts and commercials that he did.
Oh, wow. People that watched the show then expecting that character probably were thrown for a little bit of a loop then.
Possibly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that the character changed because of the climate of our country, because the show would not have worked and would not have been popular if Ted wasn't Ted.
Yeah. I agree completely.
So let's get into the episode.
Well, before we do that,
oh yeah, let's do that.
The format is going to be very similar to Lost, but we're going to do things a little bit differently because we do know there are a number of listeners that are joining us who have never watched the series before. So
That's right.
Unlike Lost, we're not going to do the very spoilery stuff like we did. Lost has been out for over a decade, so we were well past spoiler territory. We were able to do it. Ted Lasso is still relatively new. And again, we know a number of you are watching for the first time, so we don't want to do the heavy spoilery stuff.
Like we did with Lost.
We don't want to ruin it for you. We want you to discover these new paths and what happens with these characters as you go through and watch it, just as we did. So if we do happen to bring up anything that's going to be potentially spoiler, we're going to be very broad. We're not going to go into specifics. If we have anything specific we want to talk about spoilery, we're going to save it for the end of the conversation. We're going to let you know ahead of time, okay, we're heading into spoiler territory. And then in the show notes, I'm going to start putting timestamps. So you're going to know what portion to skip of the podcast if you want to avoid spoilers.
Like really specific spoilers.
Yes. So from this time to this time in the show notes, you'll know skip to this time. And I think I might even be able to add chapters so that you can kind of just skip an entire chapter. I got to look into that a little bit more.
Okay.
But just for safety's sake, I'm going to put timestamps in the show notes that will say spoiler territory from here to here.
Smart.
So if you don't want to hear the very specific spoilers, we will take it out, or we will let you know what portion to avoid. And then you can come back and you can hear us finish up our final thoughts and everything else. So a little bit different than Lost, but we wanted to make sure we keep it fresh for people who are new and have never seen the show. That said,
I'm so excited.
It's a half-hour pilot, and I have more notes for this pilot than I did. Oh, the other thing we're going to add to every episode, because there are so many, is we're going to start talking about some of our favorite quotes from the episode too, because this show is incredibly quotable.
Oh my gosh, so quotable. We already have quotes on the soundboard.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's just.
Fuck no. Bullshit. Well, that's fucking mental.
I mean, they're all Roy Kent. Well, with
we got one. We got one.
Yeah.
Remember, it's just pooper.
You've been hearing these quotes up and like for a while.
If you've been listening
now.
to us, yeah.
Yeah.
Whistle! Whistle!
So, all right, enough with them.
All right.
We'll talk about some of our favorite quotes as we go through too. I'm just as excited as you are, but I'm going to let you start this conversation.
Okay. So I'm really excited because we get such a great introduction. I just want to start off by saying, like, we get such a great introduction to all of these characters. And it's not just Ted and Rebecca and Roy and Keeley, but it's also Leslie Higgins. It's also Beard and Nate. And we get our first flash of the team where we see Sam, and Sam is just wonderful in every way. And we see the French guy whose name is escaping me.
We see Colin, we see McAdoo,
yes,
all
right,
these characters,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then we also get from the very first episode, and I guess I just didn't put it together that he was there from the very beginning was Trent Crimm from The Independent, who is one of my favorite characters of this show. I think he's top 5 of this show.
I can see that. And I want to, we're mentioning all these characters that we're getting these very loose introductions to. For anybody who's first time watching, every single one of these characters that you have seen, even Baz, Jeremy, and Paul, the 3 guys in the pub,
who are wonderful.
Every single one of these characters, you may not have gotten a big introduction into them yet. You are going to learn so much about every single face that you have seen in this episode.
And there's something really to say about that, because it shows that they're very intentional with their casting and their characters. And, somebody that has seen the whole show, you also know that their characters stay true to themselves. Even as they evolve, these characters stay true to themselves. And I think one of the biggest examples of that is Rebecca.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's actually one of the notes I have at the end too, but I can mention it now, is that even though it seems like it is right now, it seems like it could be right now, and I thought about this really hard. Like, I went over all the characters throughout the entire run of the series. One thing to keep in mind is that there is not one character, with the exception of maybe the coach that gets fired. George.
Shorty.
Actually, it doesn't even qualify for George either. There is not one character in this show who is a one-note character. Every single one of them has a deeper impact. There is so much more to every one of these characters. Some of them you may not discover until the 3rd season. But there is something more than just surface to every one of these characters.
I agree.
None of them are surface characters.
But the introduction to Rebecca, especially, I think, is quite wonderful, because she presents herself as this really kind person to Ted from the very beginning. And you want to believe that that's really how she is. But, it slowly unfolds in the episode that she has different plans for Ted, and that she's going to use Ted to get back at Rupert, her ex-husband, who we only see in a photograph in this episode, which is hilarious to me.
He comes in later this season, but
no. But that's our only introduction, to him Rupert in this episode, and but you get a sense of Rebecca is hurting from the very beginning.
She is a woman scorned.
She is, and man, does Hannah Weddington play her just perfectly? Yeah. She's very careless with her staff. She's obviously very revengeful, but she plays it in this very multifaceted way. Even from the pilot, she's got this, do you want it, Leslie? Do you want this painting? And he's like, that's £1 million. And she's like, I guess you shouldn't have said that. Sell it,
auction it.
Like, she definitely is somebody who has no care for material possessions, yet she carries herself in a way that is very refined and very distinguished. And I think that speaks a lot to who she is underneath all of the, couture and the makeup and the heels and this or that. Like, you see that there is more to Rebecca from the very beginning.
Yeah.
When Ted looks at her and says, "How are you holding up?" She's almost shocked by the fact that he would care.
And I have that in my notes too. When he says that, like, "Oh, well, how are you?" I was like, that it's multifaceted, because you're right. Like, it kind of takes Rebecca by surprise, which says something about Rebecca's character, but it also speaks volumes about Ted's character, because this is somebody he has literally just met, and he is already asking her, how is she?
And he's on no sleep.
Yeah.
He's on no sleep and culture shock. He just drank tea, and he's still concerned about everybody else around him. Even, and we'll get into Ted in a second, but because the introduction to his character is fantastic too. But I mean, just strictly speaking from a Rebecca point of view, she handles that press crowd, handles it.
Mhm.
You know, she's very much in charge in her office, which again speaks to her character overall, because that coach, George, could have come in and just manipulated her, railroaded her, like the things that he was saying to her about her impressive chest, you know. She just didn't she just treated him exactly like he should have been treated in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it when he said, "What are you firing me for?" And she's like, "Well, to start off, your casual misogyny." And then she's like, "That was probably a really big word for you." You know, I mean,
Ask your daughter what it means.
right, exactly. It, you know, everything about her and her introduction in this episode is just perfect. And you're just a fan.
Yeah, you're a fan of the character because of how complex she seems, and you learn, again, it goes back to what I mentioned about how none of these characters are surface characters. Like, there is so much more to Rebecca that, like, I remember the first time I watched the pilot, I was like, oh, is this a character I'm going to end up hating? Because of everything.
You don't know.
Because you don't know. Like, again, like you mentioned, like, she defends Ted in front of the press corps after that press conference, but then immediately goes into telling Leslie, he's a wanker. I brought him in to destroy this club because Rupert loves it. Like,
right.
She's already a complicated character. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to love this character or hate this character. I mean, and I have since made my decision on that, and I absolutely stand by it. You know exactly what it is because you're the same exact way. Yeah. You know, like, but there is so much more to, she is a woman at this point who takes no shit.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, she becomes a woman who takes no shit.
Yeah. That never changes with her.
In a completely different way.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's you will understand what we mean as you get further in to this. But one of the things I kind of realized, and this is very loose spoilery, I'm not going to go into, because this is something that doesn't pertain to the end. This is relatively quickly. You realize that Rebecca is the person we know and we meet because of Rupert.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will eventually develop as we go forward, and you start to realize that as you watch. I'm not going to say in what regards or what brings it on, because again, keeping it very broad. But yeah, Rebecca is such an amazing character. And you're right, Hannah Waddingham, there's a reason why she has won the Emmy for playing this character. By the way, so many Emmy Award winners from this show. And you've met a number of them already.
Yeah.
Sudeikis being one of them.
And that's another really great part about this specific show, is because they retain the main cast pretty much from the get-go. And that's pretty rare with a show. You know, shows tend to evolve and to change and to add more characters. And I really appreciate the fact that they pretty much retain the same core cast throughout this series, which is wonderful. We also get our introduction into Leslie Higgins.
Yep.
And really in this episode, you just get an introduction into, you know, he's obviously spineless. He's obviously somebody that Rebecca has it out for because of how he acted when Rupert did own the team or the club or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, anybody that's seen the whole show, they see Leslie and they're like, yay, Leslie. But in this regard, if you're a first time watcher, you know, he's just like this guy that he's an errand boy and he looks like he's just going to do Rebecca's bidding.
Yeah. He seems like somebody who is who's a minion. He's easily influenced, and he's easily controllable.
Right.
Because that's what Rebecca is doing. I mean,
right.
She calls him out like, oh, you know, like it wasn't, you know, that difficult when you were helping Rupert, you know, sneak these women in and
behind my back.
So, I mean, she absolutely calls him out for something
and he knows that, okay, yeah, all right, I deserve it.
Yeah.
Kick me again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
you know,
Arf, arf. Oh, I said
the arf, arf. We haven't gotten
Arf,
there
arf.
yet.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
But why don't you take us into the introduction of Ted?
So, well, I was going to say, like, one of the things I like too that I really appreciated are the first two people we meet in this series. Ted's not one of them. It's Rebecca and Higgins.
Yes, it is. You're
Rebecca and Higgins are the first two people we meet. And I love how the series opens with God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols.
Yes.
Like, such a great introduction to a
we still
British...
had a queen.
Yeah. Well, God...
I say we, like I'm British.
Forever, God Save the Queen. But yeah, so our first actual introduction to Ted isn't even through meeting Ted. It's through ESPN Sports Center. We get the report that Theodore Ted Lasso is being, they never call him Theodore. I think that's the only time they ever do it.
Quotes. Like, I still don't understand why they did that. I'm like, Ted is a pretty common nickname for Theodore. Like, what?
But it is a nickname, so that's why they put it in quotes.
Lasso. You know what I mean? Yeah, but nobody did that for, I don't know, other people that have had nicknames.
Well, because if you don't put Ted in quotes, then it seems like Ted is a middle name. Like his name is Theodore Ted Lasso.
Why are we not just calling him Ted Lasso?
Because it's a professional athlete. It's a professional. I don't know.
Okay.
But again, like the first introduction we get to Ted is through Sports Center, where they're mentioning like he has taken his championship Wichita State team, and now he's taking this job coaching, going over and teaching a different kind of football. And the funny thing about it is too, that clip that they show of Ted dancing, I believe is actually from one of the NBC Sports commercials. They actually ripped that right from that.
That's awesome.
To show that. So that is a little bit of an Easter egg to those commercials when you go and watch them. I think that's one of the clips. And then we meet Ted, and the first time we actually meet Ted is on an airplane, and it is heading to the UK, heading to that area. And we get another introduction to another character who is a secondary character, but I'm not talking about the one you're cheering for yet. We're talking about the Ussie kid.
Oh yeah.
This is not the last time you will see this kid.
I love that guy.
Can I get an Ussie? Oh, in my team we call these selfies. Yeah, but it's not just me, it's us. So I call it an Ussie. This is not the last time you will see this kid. You will see this kid multiple times throughout the run of this series. Always in an airport too, I think, which is very odd. This kid must travel a lot. But shortly after our introduction to Ted, we get the introduction to Ted's better professional half, or other professional half, and that is Coach Beard. Another one of my absolute favorite characters from this series.
And he's wonderful from the get-go.
He is. However, I will say the one thing about Beard is if you want to learn more about Beard, you might have to wait a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, he's a total mystery.
He is a total mystery, probably until the third season, when you learn a lot about his
I'd say even sooner than that. But he was in the football video in the background cheering.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I did. Yeah. He was in the little football dancing video. He was in the very back, and he's cheering as well, because you can't have Ted without Beard. You just can't.
True. Brendan Hunt is a phenomenal character actor who really stayed under the radar because he is a writer. I think he's primarily a writer more than a character until this. He is in an episode of Parks and Recreation. He's very early on in Parks and Rec. There is an episode where they are talking, I think it's season 1. They were talking about filling in the pit, and it's Amy Poehler's character and oh God, why am I blanking on the names of these characters?
Tom Haverford?
No, it's not Tom. It's Rashida Jones's character.
Ann Perkins.
Ann Perkins. They are in a community meeting, and there is a character that stands up and says to Ann Perkins, my friend thinks you're really attractive and would like to know if he could get your number. That is Brendan Hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is very early on. It's season 1 of Parks and Recreation. But phenomenal writer, phenomenal comedy writer, is also another Emmy winner for this series.
Good.
And one of the other things, focusing on the Emmys too, one of the other things I want to say that it makes me so much adore not just the show but this cast is that when they win the Emmy, that's it. They're like, okay, I've had my turn. Let's focus on this actor now. Because like Sudeikis has won the Emmy, Hannah Waddington has won the Emmy, Brett Goldstein has won the Emmy, Brendan Hunt has won the Emmy, Jeremy Swift has won the Emmy, and now with the upcoming Emmys, they're like, okay, let's give Phil a turn.
Yeah.
And Phil got nominated for the Emmy.
That's awesome.
For the third and final season. So like it's, I just adore this cast so much.
It's a great cast. And really, I think that we can spend this entire episode just kind of breaking down the new characters that we see, Ted, of course, is our most quotable character, I believe.
I think in this episode, yes.
I think until we really start expanding on the team, Ted is the most quotable character. I think that he remains the most quotable character as far as quotes that you could take with you to make you feel better.
Yeah, I can see that.
One of my favorite lines that he says on the plane to Beard is taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while doing it, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're probably doing it wrong. And I think one of the things too that this is kind of looking to the future of the show, but it's not spoilery at all. It just denotes a great series, is that the show is called Ted Lasso. And Ted is very clearly the predominant main character in the beginning. That kind of changes as the show progresses. It becomes less and less about Ted and more an ensemble cast.
Right.
Like everybody gets to share the spotlight. Everybody gets to share the focus. There are episodes later on that Ted is not even in. It's more about the team and side characters.
Well, and I think that that's really, highlighted in this episode that Ted does not want to be the lead. He is a leader, but he knows that to be a good leader is to understand the strengths of your team. And you really see that here. Like he sees Nate, who we also get introduced to very soon, but he sees Nate immediately. He sees him, he has Beard, who he uses heavily. He relies on heavily for his football information that he doesn't know. He has the utmost respect for Rebecca from the get-go. He recognizes Keeley as more than just a hot body in the very beginning.
I love that scene too, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Even with Roy Kent, he knows exactly what he needs to do with Roy Kent. And I mean, that's one of the best lines of the whole pilot is him saying he thinks he's mad now. Wait till you win him over.
Wait till we win him over.
And then Beard says he'll be furious.
and there is so much truth to that.
It is. And but what I'm saying, I guess my point is that Ted knows that to be a good leader is that you have to lead, right? And in order to lead, you have to let your team shine. And that is quintessential Ted Lasso there. And you see it from the beginning. It's
kind of Ted's philosophy is that unlike most people where they'll say like, in order to get respect, you have to earn respect. Ted gives you the respect from the start and you have it until you lose it.
Yes.
It's a very different life philosophy than a lot of other people tend to live by.
And it's a good one to live by.
Yeah. Like I've just met you and you have my respect until you lose it. And there are even times throughout this series where people could have very easily lost it. And Ted is very forgiving.
Yeah.
Incredibly forgiving.
And you learn that about Ted. Ted has a lot going on, and we learn that in the second half of the pilot. That press conference in the very beginning, and he handles it, I think, really well on no sleep, being ambushed. Here you go. Here's some fizzy water instead of regular water. You know, he handles it very well, but then you see that, and this is something that comes up a lot in the first season, is you see kind of the noise starting to get to him, and you see those cracks starting to reveal themselves during that first press conference, that if you have anxiety, which I do, and I know you do, you notice exactly what's happening immediately.
From
You see
the second from even before it happens, you kind of see it coming because you've put yourself in Ted's shoes in that moment, and you're kind of like,
you feel naked.
I don't know how I would probably have a panic attack in that moment, and then
he starts to have a panic attack.
Starts to have a panic attack, exactly.
And Rebecca saves him.
Yep.
And I think that kind of shows that she's more than a revengeful ex-wife in that moment, because she didn't have to do that.
No, I mean, it's weird because you're right. He kind of gets ambushed with this press conference, which
she sets up,
which plays into her plan of destroying the club.
Right.
But she doesn't let Ted flounder.
Which is remarkable, because that was the perfect time to do something like that. Because we learn at the end of the episode, that's her plan.
Yeah, exactly.
But she doesn't let that plan start to take place during the perfect time that it could have.
Well, but I think part of that is big. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's also in the room. So that looks badly on her. She doesn't want it to look bad. I don't know if she wants it to look badly on her. I think she just wants it. She wants Ted to be the reason this club fails. She doesn't want to be involved as part of the failure, even though it's her master plan.
I think that she was actually rocked a little bit by his concern for her.
Oh, I absolutely think that as well, too.
And that might have been like, I'm going to do you a solid since you did me a solid a few minutes ago. I don't know. It would just, I think that it's a very nice piece of foreshadowing during that moment, that Rebecca's not who she's claiming she is in this moment. She's trying to be somebody that I don't think that she even realizes right now that she's not. And you can see that without any spoilers or anything, you can see that from the very start, that Rebecca's not who we think she is.
And I think it's even part of that too, that I think Rebecca doesn't realize who she thinks she thinks she is.
Right. Right. And I think that that's because she's been playing a part for a really long time. She's been playing the part of wife to this man, Rupert, who, but in one photograph, we see that he is clearly not a family man.
Yeah. He is not a one-woman man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, without even seeing him in the flesh in this episode, we know exactly who the villain is of this story.
Yeah. Already. And it's not Rebecca.
Which is very well written.
Yeah. But again, it goes back to my earlier point too, in that the Rebecca that we meet in this episode is, first off, again, not really a spoiler, not the real Rebecca. We will learn that relatively soon, actually. It doesn't take us long to realize that, so it's not really that big of a spoiler. I'm not spoiling who the real Rebecca is, but we also learn that the Rebecca that we get in this episode is probably the Rebecca she is because of Rupert. My earlier point is that she is influenced by Rupert, and it is somebody she was pretending to be.
Well, anybody that's been in an oppressive or abusive relationship, which I think that we can tell just by the fact that she was cheated on over and over again. She lost everything in this marriage, except she just wanted this one thing because she's trying to get back at this man that has destroyed her life. My cold has taken away my point. Oh no, it was such a good point. How did I start off this sentence?
I don't, we were talking about Rebecca and like not being the real Rebecca, and you shifted into like Rupert.
Oh, I think that she's been playing a part for so long that she doesn't even know who she is anymore. Yeah. She has completely lost all sense of who she is. So now that she's this woman scorned, and the papers have really, you can tell that the papers have have painted her this way, that she's going to play this role now. But you get the feeling that, and I'm going back to the first time I watched this show, because the first time I saw it is still pretty fresh in my head, right? You know immediately that this is not the same character we're going to see later in the season. And I just feel really good about the fact that you know that from the get-go on rewatches, and you can see that through this. It's so brilliantly written, this pilot episode. It's so brilliantly, wonderfully crafted. It makes it, like you said, it makes you want to watch the next one immediately.
Yeah. And one of the other things I love about this, and this is kind of leading into the next point, is that when it comes to these characters, there are characters that you're going to hate and then learn to love. There are characters that you're going to love and then learn to hate. And then there are characters that you're going to love and then hate and then love again. And that brings me to the next character that we meet in this episode, and that's Nate.
Okay, so Nate's entrance is wonderful into this show because he's running, screaming at who he thinks are rogue fans that have entered the pitch. And he's like, no, get off the grass. And he's like, who are you? And Ted's like, oh, I'm Ted Lasso, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, take all the grass you want.
I have grass clippings. They just cut it. They just cut it. There are grass clippings in the garbage. I can get you grass. Like, he is so eager to please.
But then after all the niceties, he goes, okay, yeah, let's get off the grass.
Get off the grass. No, but seriously, get off the grass. He is such a, like, again, like, there are so many characters that I mentioned. None of them are surface characters. And Nate he is such a great character in that, like, you're right. He is somebody who hasn't been seen up until this point. He's literally just like the towel boy for the team. We see the way the team, like, we get this impression that nobody pays attention to Nate. He's an unseen character because he's shocked in the fact that not only does Ted see him, but when they meet later, Ted remembered his name. And then we're kind of like,
first of all, he was floored at the fact that he even asked his name to begin with.
Yeah. And
then he goes, nobody ever asks my name. And they're all just sitting there awkwardly, like, silent. And Ted's like, whenever you're ready, man.
That's right. I forgot about the whenever you're ready. But, we get this impression that, like, Nate is towards the bottom of the rung. He doesn't get seen very often. Nobody ever asks him his name. He's genuinely surprised that not only has Ted asked him his name, but he remembers it later on when they see him again, when he gets the praise for the sports drink that he put together. And as viewers for the first time, we're kind of like, oh, like, yeah, like, okay, like, but why is he like this? And then we kind of get it. As the team comes into the locker room, we see that the way the team treats Nate. Mm-hmm. They kind of put him in headlocks. They push him around a little bit. They're tossing towels in his face. They don't see Nate as a person. He is literally just the towel boy of the team. And then we kind of, now as viewers, we're like, oh, now we understand. Now I understand why Nate is the way he is.
But his care for the game is there from the very beginning. He cares about the pitch. He cares about what they're drinking. He cares about how the locker room looks. Nate obviously cares a great deal about this club, to the point that he can't even speak to Rebecca. I love that he runs away and then he comes back again. I love it.
It almost makes me feel like he has never had an opportunity to even meet Rebecca.
Oh, no, he's never been in that room before.
Yeah, he's never been in that office. And no. I love that you're right. Like, he comes up, he knocks on it. Rebecca turns around, doesn't say a word, turns around and runs out.
Runs away.
And then he pops back in for a second and realizes, nope. And then just runs right back out of the office again. And what I love about that scene is it's framed so brilliantly because as Nate is running away, Ted and Beard just peek in from the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gives us the opportunity to see Nate run back in and then immediately run back out. Like, right. I'm not supposed to be here.
He's great in this because he's absolutely perfect in his role. He nails the comedic timing. He nails the way that he delivers his lines. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nate in the opening episode. I also love, just because we're at that scene when Ted and Rebecca meet for the very first time, you get one of the best Ted Lasso lines of the entire series, and that is, "If that's a joke, I love it. If it's not, I can't wait to unpack that with you."
I have that in my, that's one of my quotables too. When she's like, "Call me Rebecca. Miss Welton's my father.
Right.
If that's a joke, I love it. If not, I can't wait to unpack that with you."
Honest to God, it's one of the best lines he says, and it's the first episode.
Yeah.
Iconic. I can't wait to unpack that with you.
It says so much about Ted's character in that quote, and that it's that line too. But it also speaks a lot about Rebecca, because she's cracking a joke. Like, she is making a joke with Ted. This is a man she has brought in to destroy this club, but she's joking with him.
Not to mention, she's planning to destroy him in the process.
In the process, yeah. She's willing to let him be the fall guy.
Yeah. I mean, and she's joking around with him, which that can either mean she's a really nice person or she's a freaking sociopath.
Yeah.
There's no in between on that one.
Yeah. It's just God, there's so much about this first episode that I love so much.
I love that we get the first flash of the team, and the way that we get our first flash of the team is them during training. So, you know, as they are
it's not. The first track.
Yeah,
they're in the locker room watching the press conference.
I thought that we were watching them playing, and then we were watching them.
No, he meets
the press conference.
He meets the team after the press conference.
Oh, you're right. I've just looked at my notes. I apologize. But so you see Sam, Roy, and Jamie, because to me, those are the three characters that we really spend a lot of time with in this first season.
In the first season, yes.
In this first season, these are the three that we're really going to spend more time with than we do later. So you see Sam, who Sam looks very excited as usual. He's like, "Oh, this is going to be very exciting." Like, I love him so much. I see Sam's face. I need to get, like, maybe he needs to be my wallpaper for a while, because just like seeing his face smiling makes me feel better. Like, just as a person, makes me feel better. Yeah. Roy looks curious, but also hostile. And Jamie looks completely uninterested.
He could care less.
In parentheses, I have, it's going to be a rough first season with him.
It really is. I mean, again, like, we talk about these characters that you're gonna hate and then eventually love, or love and then hate. Like, there's so many different relationships, like characters that you are meeting now. Some of them you are just going to grow a deeper love for. Some of them, your opinions are going to completely change. I'm not going to reveal who is in those categories.
Right.
But you're right. Season 1 is a rough season for Jamie.
Yeah. Which is good, because it needs to be that way. But so you have Jamie Tart, you have Roy Kent, and you have Sam Obisanya.
Sam Obisanya. Right? Yep.
Yes, I got it. I'm so excited. So those are the three that we're really going to spend time with. There are little hints there's the French guy whose name I can't remember. There's Colin, as we talked about before. And then there's the mean one who's not really mean.
McAdoo.
Thank you. Yep. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get it. McAdoo. So, and those I think are like the next three that we get to know. But for now, we're going to stay on Sam, Roy, and Jamie, because I think that they're the most important ones anyways.
For this first season, yes, they are the key players of the team.
And I think that we get a really good introduction to them. It's very small, but you see that Jamie is very selfish. And he's kind of on his own journey. You see Roy is the captain of the team, but he's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
And then you see Sam, who just kind of seems like the golden retriever of the group. You know, he's just happy to be there and he loves all of his people.
The golden retriever that's so accurate. It is ridiculous.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
That is so accurate. It is ridiculous. There's a couple other characters. So you're right. We do get to meet those three characters, and right from the get-go, as you mentioned, we get an idea as to their personalities. Their personalities, I'll just leave it at that. We get a good idea of their personalities. So,
and I like it that Ted has Jamie pegged from the very first time he sees him on the field.
Well, because he tries that Pele kick and fails.
Well, right, but he asks Nate about Jamie, and he goes, "He's a very good football player."
Yeah,
and Ted goes, "All right, I gotcha." Like, he knows exactly what that means. He reads right between the lines, and that right there tells you Ted is something different of a leader.
Well, because he, and not only that, but he knows the sport. He doesn't know the sport.
No, he doesn't.
He knows sports.
He knows teams.
That's a better way to put it. He knows teams. It doesn't matter the sport. Every sport has these players.
Right.
Jamie just fits the profile.
Right. And Roy fits another profile. Sam fits another profile. Even, Ted and Beard fit their own profiles. What's great is that this show explores what happens if we take those profiles away. What happens if we just play the game and treat each other like people?
Yeah.
And you don't see that. You don't see that in this episode at all. In this episode, you just see, here are our characters, here's the story, and let's go.
Yeah. It's a great introduction. And in so many ways, it's written so brilliantly in that the introductions, it's a good show that shows that you don't need to spend half an episode on one character to reveal an introduction, to give us an introduction to that character. This show was able to give us introductions to characters so well that we knew who the characters were, or we had a decent idea who the characters were in a matter of seconds.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's
absolutely.
Now, do these characters remain the same? I don't think there's one character in this entire show that is the same character now as they were by the end. That includes
maybe McAdoo.
No, I don't even think. I think, it's like, please. I
only say that because he's probably the most similar out of all of the arcs. Like you said, nobody really doesn't have an arc, which is great as an actor. How cool was that? That you could be a supporting role and that you are going to have your own individual character arc.
Well, and that's one of the things I think fits this show so well. Is you're right. Jason Sudeikis, Brett Goldstein, and I forget who the third writer was. Not Brett Goldstein, Brendan Hunt. They created the show and wrote it. Brendan Hunt has been adamant about it. Like, he's the one that has said more than anybody, we had a story to tell from the very beginning until the very end. We knew the story we wanted to tell. We knew it was going to take 3 seasons. That's what we put out there. So these characters that we're meeting, even these secondary characters that seem nothing more than background, like McAdoo and Colin,
Keeley.
Well, Keely's pretty predominant in the pilot, but she becomes so much bigger. But again, like, just talking about like McAdoo and Colin in particular, who are just 2 characters who have maybe one. McAdoo doesn't even have a line in this episode. They are characters that are part of this story. They are not background characters. They are in the pilot.
The football club is its own character.
The football club is a character. The town is a character.
Yeah.
And the stadium is a character.
Yeah. I would completely agree with that.
The pub is the locations are characters.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah. This whole episode, while it's all exposition, it's beautifully done.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. After that first press conference, Rebecca's line of, "You have a job to do and proving them wrong will just be added to the list." I think that is a line that really tells you the theme of this show. Proving them wrong. For most people, this is just a job. You have a job to do, right? But it's the journey of proving them wrong, the journey of proving that you can be who you are and still be successful, I think that that's a really good theme for this show. And I'm really excited just to watch it again and just get good feels and know that, you know, hard work and being kind and being true to the goodness of yourself is still a good way to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned Keeley, which we're going to get to in a second, but there's another character that we meet. We don't get a lot of them this particular episode, but they are a character that will run all 3 seasons.
Is it who I think? Who I think?
We meet him before we meet Keeley, and that is Trent Crimm, the Independent. Trent is one of these characters who you will absolutely grow to love. That's a bit of a spoiler, but I don't mind saying it.
Don't care. He's great.
Trent Crimm is one of these episodes that you will absolutely grow to love. The actor, James Lance, who plays him, he becomes so much a bigger part of this story.
And that's it. Don't say anymore.
I'm not going to say anything else. One of my other favorite things about this character, though, is that they did... this is kind of going in the background of the series and the popularity of the show, is that the entire cast of the show was invited to the White House to speak about like depression and anxiety and things like that. And so everybody was there. Jason Sudeikis, Hannah Waddington, they were all there. And they did this big press conference in front of everybody. And at the end of it, Jason Sudeikis says, he's like, you know, I realize this is a press conference, and usually during press conferences, you're supposed to take questions, but we don't really have a lot of time. So what we'll do is we'll take one question. And James Lance is the one that stands up and he says, Trent Crimm, the Independent. And he's the one that asked the question during the press conference. So they were even able to bring him into the press conference at the White House, which is just...
And I love it that the first thing that Ted says to him is, I like your glasses.
Yes. And
Trent Crimm just looks at his glasses like, well, yeah, they are. Thank you. You know, like nobody ever pays attention to little things like that, you know, and that's just so Ted Lasso. And yeah, Trent Crimm, the Independent, man. Well, I love it that we get him from the very beginning. It's great.
And he's kind of a dick. He stands up, he introduces himself, Trent Crimm, the Independent. He's like, and he says something, and Ted's like, oh, well, is there a question in there? He's like, yeah. Is this a fucking joke?
Yeah.
I think and as viewers of the first time you're watching this, you're like, that guy's a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, I don't know. I remember from the very beginning loving him because I love, you know, kind of the rebel journalist. It goes right with the West Wing for me, you know, with Danny, what's his name? Any West Wing fans out there know exactly who I'm talking about. But you know, there's always that one reporter who's just he's just experienced enough that he can just be like, can we just cut all the bullshit real quick and have a real conversation? Because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know? And that's so Trent. And I love it that even somebody as small as Trent Crimm's character, he still stays true to that character, you know?
Yeah, he does. He stays true to that character, but you learn more about.
Oh, no. I mean, he still evolves, but
yeah,
the foundations of these characters all stay the same of who they are. It's just that everybody seems to be, and you know, I was going to talk about this at the spoilery end of our discussion, but you could tell that these are all in different varying degrees of broken characters. And it's fun because as a rewatcher, I know that I'm about to watch them all repair each other.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it. Watching them repair each other.
Yeah. So, anyways, we do get Keeley. So we've gone through the press conference, and now Ted wants to go and take a look at the team. He watches training, not practice, training. And another one of my favorite lines, how many countries are in this country? Four.
Four.
Kind of like America these days.
Which is very true and goes right along kind of with what I mentioned at the top of the podcast about why he wanted to portray the character the way he did. He
Right.
just wasn't happy with the direction of things happening.
Right. And it's very lightly sprinkled in a comedic and light way, not in a dark and horrible way.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, 4. Okay. Kind of like America these days.
Yeah.
And then so at the end of practice, you know, they get through practice. At the end of practice, they come back. Training, excuse me. The gaffer comes back off of the pitch after training into the locker room. And we get our introduction to Keeley.
Yeah. A fantastic character who Juno Temple is just, she is such a delight in this role. And I love that we get a very early budding of the relationship between Ted and Keeley. Like we kind of already see, very similar to how Ted has Roy's number and Jamie's number. Like he kind of knows the people that they are. Keeley gets that from Ted in this episode, because when she comes, the first introduction is her like hiding her eyes, joking with the team because she's with Jamie and she's taking Jamie to go for a waxing appointment. But the next time we see her come in, we see such a wholesome moment from Ted where he kind of sees the topless photo of Keeley in Jamie's locker and he just goes over and he just puts a strip of black tape across her chest because he's very modest. He doesn't want to, like, that it shouldn't be in this locker room or whatever. He doesn't want to see it. But we see Keeley witness this. Like she doesn't witness that. She sees him in Jamie's locker room. She plays the prank on him, like trying to imitate Jamie, which kind of throws him.
It was awesome.
But when she does glance over to the locker, she sees the piece of tape and she realizes why Ted was there.
And she smiles.
She knows Ted in that moment. Very similar to how Ted knows Jamie and Ted knows Roy. She, from the very beginning, knows Ted.
Well, and I mean, we learn this along the way. Keeley's very good at reading people. Very good at reading people.
It is one
like
of her
superpowers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, it is a power for Keeley.
Yeah. So it's fun. And honestly, if you don't know anything about the show, it looks like they have chemistry in that first season, in that first episode, that first meeting. I felt that there was chemistry between the two of them, and they probably could have gone down that road if they had wanted to, but I'm glad that they didn't.
I'm glad that they didn't either, because the paths that they go on are just, I think, are so much better of a decision. I don't know if I ever noticed a chemistry, and there was just a nice back and forth between them. Not in the pilot. There are later moments in season 1 where I picked up where there could have been. Not diving into spoiler territory. I don't know if I got the sense during the pilot. Okay. But knowing I did. But knowing the moments I see later, I could see how some people could have detected it in the pilot. Yeah. So I love the nod to Axe body spray. Lynx, my favorite of the Jungle Cats. Yeah. Again, so many quotable lines in this. Yeah, totally. And then that just brings us to the end of the episode, really. Let me see. Taking a look at my notes. Yeah, I have Ted and Keeley. The only other thing I have, I mentioned Baz, Jeremy, and Paul, which are the 3 guys in the pub. 3 characters you meet very quickly, but you get a good sense of their dedication to the team. Yeah, they remind me of the Major League guys. They are. They're like the guys in the audience. The 3 guys from Major League. From Major League 2, yeah. Let's see. That's a quote. Quote before we get to the end. Rebecca's true intentions we kind of talked about. And then we have Ted, and we learn about Ted's personal life at the very end. Before we get there is one other thing that is very important to the run of this series that we get the introduction to. Is it Nate's car? No.
I'm just kidding.
It is the believe sign.
Oh, the believe sign.
Believe is the one word that is carried throughout the run of this series. That sign, there is a reason why when you see Ted Lasso merchandise, believe is the one thing that is on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a very predominant word that runs through the heart of the show. And this is our first introduction to it, and it becomes in the pilot, it is just a sign that Ted is hanging, much like everything else that Ted and Beard are hanging in their office. And it becomes so much more to this series than just a sign on the wall. And I love the fact that when Ted hung it, it was crooked in one direction. And then when Keeley helped him, it was crooked in the complete opposite.
Yeah. And then they both see it and they say, okay, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, one of the other things too I love about that is if you notice, when Keeley gives him the direction to hang it in this direction, the other direction, Ted never looks. He reaches up, he hangs the sign where she says, and then he turns and he talks to Keeley. He never checks it because he trusts Keeley. He already trusts her.
Mm-hmm.
So even when
he has no reason not to.
Exactly. So when he turns around and he walks into the office after Keeley leaves, he never even looks up to check to see if it's hung properly.
Yeah.
He already has that trust in Keeley.
Or he just wants her to know that what her opinion matters.
That could be another part of it too.
You know, that what she has to say is not just as Jamie Tartt's girlfriend, it's as Keeley.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a really important thing for Keeley.
Yeah. I want to ask before we get to the end too, because this is something I have in my notes. Did you get a warm feeling and smile the first time Ted walked into the locker room?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got excited when they moved their desks together.
Yes.
Like, I just look, you heard me at the top of the show. I'm like, and I'm Kristin. Like, I'm just very, very, and listen, like, just on a personal note, my life is crazy right now. It is absolute insanity right now. And there is, I'm a middle school teacher. There's a lot that's going on in the schools right now that is just not fun. It's not positive. It's really hard. And starting this show and having Ted Lasso back in my life regularly for the next 6 months is just, I can tell, going to be so good for my personal mental health. You know, that I'm really grateful that we decided to do this show because I'm feeling more positive already.
You know what, too, on a similar note, we both talked about anxiety and how we kind of suffer from it.
Mm-hmm.
I am at a point in my life right now, coming off the summer, with struggles where my anxiety is at record high levels again. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this show, podcasting, is already an escape for me. It is already something that helps me with my anxiety.
Right.
Being behind a microphone, podcasting, moderating, doesn't matter. It is something that assists in my dealing with anxiety. It's an escape. But now podcasting about this series is going to be a huge help.
Yes.
And I want to say to anybody listening, I hope this does the same.
Yeah.
Not listening to us, but watching this series with us.
Yeah.
I hope.
And helps. I hope that, I also hope that listening to us, I hope that it gives you some positivity. You know, we came off of a pretty heavy show. Lost is a pretty heavy show. If you digest it the way that we did. And Lasso is just this nice little breath of fresh air. We're going into the winter season. We're going into seasonal what is it? Seasonal depression.
Yeah.
No, but it's seasonal affect. Sad. It's seasonal something depression, whatever. It doesn't matter. But we're getting to this time of year where people get sad. And Ted Lasso is the perfect pick-me-up.
You know, I just realized too, it might work out timing wise. There is a 5 or 6 minute long Ted Lasso short that deals with Christmas.
Not the Christmas episode.
No, not the Christmas episode. The Christmas episode is not until season 2, and it is fucking fantastic. It is one of my favorite episodes of the entire series.
That one in Amsterdam.
Oh, that's a good episode too. Again, we'll discuss these. But I want to apologize too. This is for a half-hour long show. This is a relatively longer podcast, but we're also getting a lot out. Like we wanted to reiterate the new format and everything. We have a lot of feedback, so not every episode will be this long.
No, and we're also introducing characters.
Exactly. So
yeah, I mean, this is all exposition, and anybody that knows exposition for people that don't know. Here, I'm going to. There's your teachable moment from the English teacher. Exposition is the setup of your story. That's where we learn the who, the what, the when, the where. We learn all of that. And so this, to me, is one of the perfect examples of exposition. I know. I said exhibition, I think, the other day. It was bad. I said it in front of my class. But the exposition of this show in the pilot, I think, is some of the best writing I've ever seen. So, I definitely probably took it too far with explaining all the introductions of these characters, but they're just wonderful.
Yeah,
they're wonderful.
They're characters that we've grown to really, really love. So, yes. But yeah, let's get to the end of this episode, because the end of this episode, I feel, is very important, because we get to meet all these different characters, Ted included. But this is the first moment that we get to realize that as happy as Ted seems, as positive as he seems, and as motivational as he can be, Ted is also someone who is dealing with personal problems.
Big time.
Big personal problems. And that is the fact that he has a family. We get the hint to that early because we see the picture on his phone of his wife and his son. So they kind of set up the fact that Ted is a family man very early on. But now we realize that family life is not all sunshine for Ted. He is separated from his wife, his wife, Michelle. He is talking to his son, who lives on the other side of the ocean, who he doesn't get to see now because of this separation. They are taking time. He is giving her space as she requested, but she says on the other line to also for space for himself. This is really the first instinct that there is so much deeper to Ted.
Well, and you see him for the very first time, he seems very unsure of himself. Mm-hmm. Like when he's waiting for Michelle to come to the phone after talking to his son, you see him take a deep breath. You see him steel himself. You see him get ready for that conversation. And we only get that his side of the conversation. But during that conversation, he is very submissive almost. He's like, no. Yeah, you're right. Nope. Look, you don't have to say you love me back. I'm sorry. Like there's just a lot of, you don't even need to hear Michelle's side to understand that things are not good at home.
And not only that, but like, this is literally, we see it literally that this is something that keeps Ted up at night. Because the very next moment is him lying in bed, and the last line of the episode is, "Great, now I can't sleep."
Yep.
And then it cuts to Biz Markie.
And the song is human beatbox, which is great. I love it.
Which goes to, we'll talk when we get into the quotes and such. But yeah, like this is the really, you're right. Like this entire pilot is so really exceptionally written in that we get these quick introductions to characters that are great indications as to how these characters are going to be. We know from watching, there's so much more to these characters that we haven't seen yet. That's under the surface of these characters. And then Ted included is that Ted is not one note either. He is
No.
probably the furthest thing from One Note that we have seen. And this is our first realization of that.
Him and Rebecca, for sure. Those are the two highly, highly, highly complex, multi-layered characters. And I just, this episode was over and I just couldn't wait. I just was so excited that we chose Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I'm just very, 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 very excited.
I was too. I rewatched the pilot actually about 2 weeks ago. We weren't even finished Lost yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back and watch the pilot because we're going to be talking about it soon. And man, like my heart was so warm. I was laughing so much watching it. And then like in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, like, okay, I'm going to be rewatching this again in like less than a week or two. I hope I'm laughing as much. Not just because I'm revisiting it and then like, is it not going to be as funny again when I watch it in a week or two? And then I rewatched it again last night before we started recording, and I was laughing just as much,
right,
as I was 2 weeks ago, and probably more so than I was the first time I watched it.
Yeah,
and it's just it's so
because
well
we have
done.
an appreciation for these characters too.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I'm really excited about what's to come. But do you want to do quotes or do you want to get into the spoilery things? Because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about that are spoilery.
You know what? Let's do the spoilery stuff first. So we're gonna tell you now. At this point, we're gonna take a couple minutes to talk about some of the spoilery stuff. Again, check the show notes to know when you can come back from this episode. I don't have much, so I'm gonna leave it.
I mean, there's one very specific thing that I want to say. So I'm just going to start right now. Rebecca coins the lasso way.
She
right
does.
off the bat.
She does.
And I think that I didn't even notice that, right? Until she's like, now we're going to do the lasso way. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, because that's the name of the book.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like I knew this was the case when I watched the series finale, how many callbacks they were making, but I didn't realize how many callbacks the series finale makes until I rewatched the pilot. There are so many callbacks to the pilot in the series finale.
The minute I see the believe sign, I get all welled up because of that final episode when they all take it out of their lockers or their you know what I'm saying?
That scene, let me tell you. So when this show aired, every time a new episode happened, I would usually watch it the next day. But the series finale, I was like, haven't taken a risk of any spoilers. When it released, I'm staying up and I'm watching it when it releases.
Right.
And I stayed up and I watched it and I was holding myself together. Like there were moments I felt myself getting welled up. I felt myself getting choked up. And then in that moment where Sam takes out the first piece of the sign.
And you just immediately know what it is because it's that yellow.
I was like, okay, like nope, this is not going to happen. And then Jamie takes it out of his
book. He took it out of his book.
I was done. I was a blubbering mess.
And then as a team, they put it all back together and everything there. And then they'd stand back from it. And he's like, that's step 4. And I'm like, so the first sight of that believe sign, I was instantly transported to that final scene with the believe sign instantly.
Well, the other thing that kind of led me to that too is that right after that moment, there's that speech that Ted says, like, I know they say there's no place like home, and that's true, but man, there sure ain't no places like AFC Richmond.
Oh, I know.
Like that's one of the reasons why I got that warm feeling with him getting the first glimpse of the locker room. Walking into that locker room for the first time, I was like, man, like this place is so special.
Right. And it's hallowed ground.
And so many viewers are going to get to learn that as we go, how special this locker room really is.
And actually, they did name the book. I'm sorry, I have to fix what I just said. They did name the book. Trent named the book The Lasso Way, but Ted changed it to The Richmond Way because he said it was never about him.
Yeah.
So, but we did hear the Lasso way. I think that as fans, we all know that it is the Lasso way. And it's not the Richmond way, but I love how they ended it anyways. But that particular scene where Rebecca is the one that calls it the Lasso way, even when she was being a destructive witch, it still rang true at the very end of the series. And that to me is just so wonderful. It's like chicken soup for my soul.
And it's so interesting too, because like, you know, we're now that we're into the spoiler territory stuff, like one of the reflecting on what we've already seen as we watch this, one of the reasons why some of these moments in the pilot might hit us harder now as people who are rewatching is because we know how some of these things end up. And one specific thing is Ted's panic attack. You know, it's relatively minor as opposed to some of the panic attacks he has later on in the series. But one of the reasons why, like, I was kind of like so engrossed in that and seeing that panic attack is because one of the first people to realize he's having panic attacks and help him through it is Rebecca.
Season one Rebecca. Right, exactly. But that's where we see Rebecca change, is in that moment.
That episode, the first from the get-go, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but her Let It Go performance is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then we get to see her coming to Ted's aid.
Right.
And just seeing that panic attack during the press conference, it brought all of that in, like, oh, like this is a woman who is against Ted now, but is going to be at his side not very far from now.
Right. But she's also the one that leaked the fact that he was somebody who has anxiety to try and destroy him, and then learns that he can't be destroyed by one action like that.
Well, not only that, but she's also the one that leaks the pictures of him and Gilly, which we'll get to later.
Right. So, yeah. So that was the one little really spoiler thing I wanted to say was about her coining Lasso away. So did you have anything else?
The only other thing I had is kind of diving a little bit more further into the point I made early, is that Rebecca is who she is because of Rupert. Like, I couldn't go into too much detail because I didn't want to ruin anything, but like Rupert being the man that he is, because the only reason I didn't bring it up in detail is because we haven't met Rupert yet. Right. In the pilot, we've only gotten a sense of who Rupert is. When we finally meet Rupert, we kind of get a better understanding as to why Rebecca is the way she is.
Because he's the worst.
He's a womanizer. He has cheated on her multiple times, but even with their marriage over, he still continues to talk down to Rebecca. He is always above Rebecca. She is never on his level, and it's kind of. She has been in a marriage where she has been talked down to. She has kind of been controlled. So now, like, we kind of see this is the true woman scorned of Rebecca. She is this way because Rupert made her this way. Right. And the reason why we eventually get to see the real Rebecca is because Rebecca comes to the realization of that as well. She starts to realize, this is not the person I am. I was only this way because of Rupert.
She was still being controlled by him.
Exactly.
Right. And so she's not free until she actually gives herself permission to be free of Rupert. And I don't think it happens really until after that dart game.
Yeah. Yeah. That dart game, man.
I can't wait.
That is still one of my favorite scenes in the completion of the series.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of everybody's favorite TV show scenes. Yeah. Like, just if somebody says, what's your top 5 TV show scenes? That dart scene will be in there for anybody that has seen the show.
To anybody who has seen the show, and if I get asked, all I have to do is say barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce. And or wait, aren't you left-handed? Anyways, yeah. So all right, that was good.
Yeah, so welcome back to all of you who skipped the the spoiler portion of
Very
this.
Short.
We hope that you're back, because now this is going to become one of our favorite parts of the podcast.
Yes.
Is calling back some of our favorite quotes from the episode. And I want to kick it off with one. It's not one of the first quotes, but it is. I mentioned earlier how there is one line in this show that is in the first 10 minutes of the show, and it is the line that sold me. It is the line that I heard it for some reason just floored me. And I was like, I'm in. I am totally in on this show. And it is one of the first meetings of Roy, and it's actually the first meeting of Ted and Rebecca. And Ted's like, Rebecca says, would you like, how do you take your tea? And Ted replies, well, usually I take it back to the counter because somebody made a horrible mistake. It is one of my absolute favorite lines, even still to this day of the entire run of the series.
Right.
It is one of my favorite lines of
he
the
really
entire
hates
series.
tea.
Yeah, I thought it was just all this time. I thought it was just going to taste like brown water, but and you know what? I was right. It's horrible.
It's horrible. Yep. He's like, like he wants it off his tongue.
Yeah. What's one of your quotes from the episode?
Well, I've said a lot of them so far, but one of my all-time favorite lines in the entire series is, he thinks he's mad now. Wait till we win him over. He'll be furious.
He'll be furious.
I just love Beard.
I like
Beard says.
I like the line that comes before that too, when Roy says, "I didn't think my career would end being coached by Ronald fucking McDonald."
Oh yeah.
And Ted looks at Coach. He's like, "You gonna let him call you that?" He's like, "I don't think he was talking about me." But that also leads me to another one of my favorite quotes between Ted and Beard, is when they get off the plane and Ted's talking about, like, next thing I know, they're handing me a chocolate chip cookie. And Beard's like, I didn't get a cookie. Did you eat mine? Well, that's not part of the story. Which just shows the relationship between Ted and Beard. And I just,
right.
I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said all of mine. Rebecca's entire speech when she fires George is fantastic. It's fantastic. The whole thing.
I like how she says to George afterwards, "Can you get me a salad? Preferably something without raisins." I do have a couple other ones that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, go for it.
Keely's reaction to Ted. I never know how to react when a grown man beatboxes in front of me.
Let's hope that you never run into Biz Marquis then.
That's right. Let's see. Oi, if I don't hear silence, I'm going to start punching dicks.
Yes.
From
yes,
Roy
yes.
Is great. And then the only other one I have too is Rebecca asking Ted, "Do you believe in ghosts, Ted?" "Man, I do. But more importantly, I think they need to believe in themselves."
I love that. A little heavy-handed and cheesy, but I really, it's perfect for the context in which it was given. So yeah, I really enjoy it. And then honestly, Rebecca's, again, her speech that she says to the news conference when she sticks up for Ted, when she's like, "Anybody want to tell me, has the team been more than mediocre? Tell me I'm lying."
Yeah.
And they're all just kind of like staring down at their hands. And that to me was wonderful.
Yeah. The only other thing I have too is that I don't know, remember the exact line because I didn't write it down, but they were talking about Roy Scheider, and Beard's like, "Jaws?" He's like, "No, all that jazz," which is just the first of many show tune and musical references we will get throughout the run of this series.
Because he's so wholesome and wonderful.
I just want to, that's the last of my quotes, and that's actually really the last of my notes that I have. And we did cover a lot for a pilot. So before we go into like feedback and everything, I just want to say, I really hope if this is more specifically to people who are first time watchers of this series, but it relates to everybody. I really hope you found as much love and joy with this pilot and with this show as you continue watching, as we continue to hold for this series.
Me too.
There's a reason why we chose to cover it. And I do think it is appropriate for the times for, again, like you said, going into like winter seasonal depression, people who might be fighting anxiety now. this is something. This is a series that's very close to Kristen and I because of how much it helped us through that.
Yes.
So realize that going into this, how special the series is to us for that reason. And I hope it does the same for all of you. Or
Me
did.
too.
Or did, if you've already watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else on the series before we go into the feedback?
No.
All right. So then with that being said, again, we mentioned at the top, we have so much, we've a bunch of feedback for this, and I'm so excited. I'm going to let you kick us off with the first one.
Brenda Tackett says, really love the first 2 seasons, but I've been putting off watching the final season. I'm guessing I'm going to do a rewatch with you guys. Big smiley face.
And I can't wait for you to get to that 3rd season too.
Mm-hmm.
Really can't. Mary Patricia Diargo says, I'm so excited to hear this podcast. This is one of my favorite shows. I watch it whenever I need to pick me up. The character development and chemistry between the actors is spot on. I always feel better after watching an episode.
Me too.
Me 3. Right there with
Joe
you.
Morrow, hello. My beautiful best friend, Jill.
I purposely made it this order so that you would
saw
get
that.
it.
Hi, Ben and Kristen. I'm so excited you guys are covering this show. I can't wait to dive back in and do a rewatch knowing what we know now. It floored me how much I absolutely loved a character in the first season and then grew to physically hate him by the end of season 2. I don't remember if you're doing a spoiler full, so I leave it at that for now. Can't wait to hear your discussions. Bye. Love her so much.
Lindsay Schlicht. It took my friend 2 whole years to get me watch this show since I'm very much not into sports. I'm so glad he didn't back down because I love it. This is my first rewatch, so it seems pretty new. I think my favorite thing of the show is how unexpectedly positive it ends up being. It's hard to separate who these characters become when choosing a favorite because they seem so terrible now. Hopefully this isn't too spoilery for newbies, but it's a tie between Rebecca and Roy. So excited you guys are covering this one.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to say too, you don't have to be into sports to watch this.
No.
To enjoy this. It's not at all.
Penny Lennox says, controversial, but I didn't love the pilot. I found Ted's dumb American and stubbornly clinging to it routine to be clownish and annoying. I didn't watch Beyond it for a while until the number of people telling me to watch it reached a critical mass. Well, Penny, I hope that you enjoyed the show eventually. I do love the pilot, so I don't think it's controversial. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's controversial at all.
I think that she just had a birthday. So if I'm right, happy birthday to Penny.
I think she did, actually. I think you're right. Yeah. This next one comes from Greg Schwam, our buddy Greg. Just to avoid talking for 10 minutes on voicemail, half of which would be quotes, I will answer your questions for. I will read the question first because it was in the post for it.
Thank you.
That he knows. Question 1, what did you think about the first episode? And his answer is, it was the Breaking Bad pilot of comedies. Engaging, immediately cared about the characters, and hopeful.
I disagree.
Is this your first watch? Fuck no. Hold on. I got to do it. I got to do that one appropriately.
There we go.
Is this your first watch?
Fuck no.
Beautiful.
The third question, who is your favorite character so far? Hard to differentiate first watch from rewatches since I had more faves down the line, but Ted will always hold a place in my heart. While his constant optimism was the downfall of other things, it was a light in the dark for me.
Oh, yeah.
And
so many of us.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite quotes? So many. High five tree. I don't remember that one.
High five tree.
Oh, never mind. I got it. And the bubbles got me, which is when he spits out the
bubbles. That caught me by surprise the first time that I watch it because you assume it's going to be still water as an American.
Yeah.
And he just basically barfs it everywhere.
And it does it again.
The second time he does it is worse.
Yeah, because then he
all over everyone's phones.
Because as he's leaving, he's like, I apologize for spitting all over your equipment.
And then he gets a little still water afterwards. He's like, look, see, I could do that all day.
Yeah. We'll update with more after another rewatch, which we didn't get, but that's fine. We'll get more from him as we go.
Danielle Dement Juiced. I hope I said that right, Danielle. That's my daughter's name, by the way. Beautiful name. OMG, I am so excited that you are covering this show. I just finished it for the first time and I am ready for a rewatch. I just rewatched episode 1. I've seen the whole series recently and this is my first rewatch. It's amazing to see how much character development there was for every single character from beginning to end. I think the pilot made Rebecca out to be much harder than she turned out to be and made Keely seem a bit vapid, which didn't really follow her into the series. Pilots are always kind of fun to look at because so many things can change between the pilot and the second episode. This is going to be so much fun to watch for the second time. Yes, I agree, Danielle.
And then our last written feedback comes from Gemma Hall. There are a few shows that from the pilot episode, my heart just goes, yes. Buffy, Lost, The Walking Dead, Stranger Things. They just get me immediately, and Ted Lasso is with them. I don't know what it was, but Ted's optimism and infectious personality and kindness is just so endearing. How often do you get a main character that is just a really nice guy, but still has a few demons that are not immediately evident? I actually watched this with my husband for once as a huge Liverpool fan, and he loved Ted Lasso. I loved the twist of Rebecca being out to get the club, and she only hired Ted to bring Richmond down. Roy Kent stands out immediately as one of my favorite characters, and Nate is so sweet. Bless him. It goes to your heart. Keely is a typical wag to start, but starts an instant bond with Ted, and the press conference scene is so great. I love Trent Krim, the Independent. I just can't say enough about how much I loved this show. It made my year. I binge watched it again in August, and I was gutted when it got to the end.
Can I ask what's a wag?
So a wag is like a wife of an athlete. But it's let's see. I'm trying to look up. WAG is an acronym which refers to the spouses and girlfriends of well-known athletes. It stands for Wives and Girlfriends.
Got it. Because I've learned recently what WAP means, but not
completely
WAG.
different thing.
No, I got it.
Yeah, completely different thing. And that leads us to a voicemail that we received, of course, from our friend Steve Brown.
Yay, Steve. It's going to be short.
I'm so looking forward to live Stevings of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, me too.
These are going to be fun. But here it is, our voicemail from our friend Steve.
Hello, Ben and Kristin. This is Steve. And before I start my live Steve of Ted Lasso season 1, episode 1, I just have to tell a quick story that hopefully will be quick. The new job I have at the church, occasionally there's another person in the building, and I seem to scare her a lot when I'm walking through the building. So I've started going, whistle, whenever I'm approaching a place where she's at. Just my homage to Ted Lasso.
Well, I just realized that's later, and that might be spoilery. I hope not. If you can cut it if you want to. Oh, that was a cool move, kicking the ball up and then over somebody else's head and kicking it yourself. Did that guy, the coach she's firing, just say your impressive chest? Gosh, guy, dude, read the room. I totally forgot about Ted's dancing. Do we see that later at all? And does anyone else ever call him Theodore? Not the London Bridge, the Tower Bridge, because this one's still up. I love it. I'm trying not to go along with all this stuff at the beginning, but man, it's such a good pilot. I don't know if that's true, how Stalker developed to keep the boys from masturbating. How do you take your tea? Well, sometimes I have to get right back to the counter because someone's made a terrible mistake. I love that line.
Wow, this moment is significant. I get choked up because just like when Ted asked Nathan his name, he asked Rebecca, how are you doing? Gosh.
Oh, and our introduction to Trent Krim, is this an effing joke? Wow, I forgot about that.
Wow, Hannah's Am I Wrong is strong. Oh, so we start the season with Rebecca being completely against Ted Lasso. Oh, I'm going to burn this club to the ground.
At this point, she doesn't want them to win. She wants them to lose, to torture her ex-husband. Oh, I love it. He puts up champion posters. Muhammad Ali standing over. Is that? Oh, I can't remember the guy's. The one who Muhammad Ali defeated in that big poster. He doesn't tweet, but he beatboxes. All right. Sorry about how long this is. I'll try to be shorter next time. Talk to you later.
I feel like I have to play it just because.
Whistle! Whistle!
I do love the fact that he brought up the start of soccer, and I do hope that that's a true story because it's hilarious.
I don't know if it's a true story or not, but I hope it is.
Sport that you play without your hands. I just loved it so much.
To keep boys from masturbating.
It was just hilarious.
It's so ridiculous. I hope it's true.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody so much already for a strong start with feedback. And
yes,
we hope you guys continue to do it. We hope some of you new listeners decide to leave feedback as well. Easiest ways to do that. Revisitedpod.com is where you can go to the website. There you can find links on how to listen, subscribe, and even leave feedback. But if you want to email us directly, we encourage you to do that as well. Feedback@revisitedpod.com. Send us an email, record yourself in a voice memo and send it to us as a voicemail, and we'll play it. Those are the easiest ways to do it. And we encourage you guys to do it, please, because we want to know your thoughts, especially if you're a first-time watcher.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to hear that kind of feedback.
Me too.
Because we want to know your thoughts as we're going through. We got to push Podcastica as well, because this is a joint production with Podcastica as well as being a Wilhelm spinoff. So WilhelmPodcast.com, that's where you can go to discover all the stuff with Wilhelm. And then Podcastica.com is where you can go to discover all the Podcastica podcasts, which include, we'll make mention of two in particular right now. The first off is the Wheel of Time podcast, which I am currently a part of with our friend Greg, who actually left us one of the feedback this week. But you are on...
I'm on Star Wars Cast, and we're doing Ahsoka, and it is amazing. And we have 2 episodes left, and I'm really, really excited. And this last episode was amazing. And there was 4 of us on the last episode, and it was almost a 3-hour-long podcast. But it goes with the magnitude of last week's episode. If those of you who watched it understand what I'm talking about. But it is some of the most fun that I've ever had recording a podcast, because my co-hosts there, Jonathan and James, are just delightful gentlemen. And it's literally, when Jonathan starts off, he goes, we're podcasting from around the world and around the galaxy. He's in Australia. James is always somewhere. You never really know where. And then I'm stuck here in Podunk, North Carolina. And then this last week, Jason was in California. So we had 4 different time zones to work with. And that was very interesting to put that together. And then also Jason, right now is covering on Cast of Us, or Walking Dead Cast, whatever you want to call it, whatever you remember it being. They're covering the new Daryl Dixon show, and they are about to jump into a Walking Dead rewatch, which I'm really excited about. I'm definitely going to follow along because I didn't find Walking Dead Cast until the 3rd season. So it'll be fun to kind of jump in with a rewatch and start over fresh with him and Lucy. So that'll be coming, I think, after Daryl Dixon.
Yeah,
Daryl, whatever it's called.
Well, because we're going to have there's going to be a massive gap when it comes to Walking Dead content because of the strikes and such.
Right.
So it's the perfect time for them to jump into a rewatch, because it's going to take them some time.
And then Penny, who we just talked about earlier, Penny Lennox, who just had a birthday, I believe is the one that also just started a Buffy podcast. So
it's called Still Slaying, a Buffy podcast, or a Buffy rewatch podcast. Now, I do have to say that's not a full-on rewatch. I
know, and I'm really bummed because I've never seen Buffy all the way through, so I was really excited to jump in on that, but I can't. I don't know how to just watch certain episodes.
yeah, I don't know either.
But, for Buffy fans, they're going to be going over some really fun, iconic episodes. So if you are a Buffy fan, I highly suggest going and checking it out. Don't forget to like and review and rate all of these podcasts, including ours.
Yes, please.
Please review and rate our podcast. Share it with your friends. Ted Lasso is still a really popular show. And the more people that we can reach out to, the more engagement we can get. And we're really excited about the next 6 months of covering the show.
Yeah, I do want to mention one other Podcastica podcast, and then I'll reiterate the website as well. Strange Indeed with Rima and Paik, our friends Rima and Paik. They are getting ready to do Fall of the House of Usher, on Netflix, which is another Mike Flanagan show. Same guy that did Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, like a bunch of these great one-off horror series. IGN has reviewed Fall of the House of Usher, which I'm familiar with because I've read it. It's an Edgar Allan Poe story. IGN has given it a perfect 10 rating.
That's unheard of.
So I cannot wait to, one, watch the series, and two, hear Rima and Pake's coverage of it, because they are a huge fan of Mike Flanagan and his work. So,
and they're just stellar podcasters.
They are. They're really well together.
Stellar podcasters. And if you are like me and you miss Stranger Things more than you miss most things normal in your life, they did start off as a Stranger Things podcast, and their Stranger Things coverage is phenomenal.
Yep.
It's phenomenal. And I highly recommend going back and listening to old episodes. There was a different co-host at the time. It was Sean of Rima and Sean. But I believe Pake took over anyways in this last 4th season.
I think it was before. Was it? Maybe?
I don't know. I don't know because it's been a while for me and I get confused and I have a cold. But
you have brain fog.
Pake is an amazing human being just besides being a good podcaster. And Rima is just such a good friend of ours. And her podcasting has just leveled up every single time she approaches the mic. So
yeah, I got the podcast with her on Strange Indeed. We covered The Stand, the remake of The Stand.
Oh, I remember that. I listened along.
And that was a ton of fun as well. So podcastica.com is where you can go. Just click on podcast at the top and you'll find links to all of those podcasts. There's something for everyone over at Podcastica. We say that every time.
Because there is.
Because there is. But again, in addition to Podcastica, there's also Wilhelm, this is a spin-off of that, which is my flagship series. And Kristen and I also do a series of episodes over on Wilhelm called The Movie Swap, where Kristen and I give each other a homework assignment, basically, of a movie we've never seen before. We come on, we talk about it, we go on tangents. And then we're releasing another one of those this week, in which we discuss our homework, which was The Maze Runner and Chef, both movies from 2014.
And weirdly, The Maze Runner took us on a half-hour tangent about just young adult movies.
Yeah, and adaptations of young adult movies. Well, Chef took us on a tangent about going to Louisiana for food.
That is true. True. We had a good time. That was a good time.
These are our tangents we go on when we talk about that. WilhelmPodcast.com is where you can check that out as well. And there's other stuff on Wilhelm as well, including top 5 lists, celebrity interviews, panels, all this kind of very pop culture TV and movie based. Any final notes or recommendations before we get out? I
have one recommendation. It's one that I used with Lost, but I'm just going to reiterate it because I think it goes thematically with what Ted Lasso is. If you're looking for a newer show that kind of to fill that Ted Lasso hole in your life, I highly recommend looking into the show The Bear. It is, without a doubt, Ted Lasso in a kitchen.
Okay. That makes me more interested in watching The Bear.
Yeah. It is Ted Lasso in a kitchen, and that's just all I'm going to say.
Okay, fair enough.
With one really annoying character who I wish would just go away.
It's not played by Mindy Kaling, is it?
No.
Okay, then I'm good.
No, Mindy Kaling is not in it. No, Jeremy Allen White from Shameless is in it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He's the lead, right?
Yeah, he's the chef. He's the bear.
He's the bear. All right, cool. Then with that said, season one, episode 2 is the next episode of this podcast, aptly titled Biscuits.
Biscuits with the Mouse.
We will find out more about. And I just learned this too, didn't realize this, directed by Zach Braff.
Oh, very nice.
Of Scrubs
I think I'm going to do the Ted Lasso biscuit recipe for next week.
Yeah, it's out there.
Dave found it, so I'm going to try and make it dairy free. We'll see.
There you go. We'll find out. All right, cool. Then with that being said, thank you to everybody who joined us for this. Thank you for all the new listeners that are coming in now with this rewatch of Ted Lasso. Thank you to everybody who left feedback. Thank you in advance to everybody who will leave feedback. But until the next time, we'll see you guys on the pitch. Take care.
Bye.